doing just fine. I'm busy right now. It's crafting show time. My crafting show is on. It's my time for me. Laughter, tips, and tricks. This is what I need. We're here to have fun. We're all in the zone. When crafting with friends, you're never alone. The host came on. They are truly a gem. Here for the show and to chat with my friends. Chat with each other about this and that. We share ideas, wisdom, and other fun facts. My crafting show is on. It's my time for me. Laughter, tips, and tricks. This is what I need. We're here to have fun. We're all in the zone. When crafting with friends, you're never alone. Let's have a good time. Ooh, time to get our craft on. Ooh, time to have fun. Ooh, time to feel good.
Hey gifted crafters, welcome back for another Saturday CrafterNoon. This is live episode number 130, if you can believe that. It's been a while, huh? So thank you all for tuning in. If you're tuning in for the first time, my name is Nancy with GiftsHQ, and I host these weekly live sessions to just talk about all things crafting. We like to do little mini projects and share tips and tricks. So if you are into any kind of crafting like knitting, crocheting, embroidery, sewing, decoupage, and all of that jazz, you're definitely in the right place. So pop yourself into the chat and say hello to some of our friends. We've got quite a few out there, so let's say hello to see who I see out there. Hey, I see Annette. Hey, how are you? Thank you for joining I See Crafting with Robin. I see Donna Phillips. Faker McFake. Hey, how you doing? I see Jackie Hallman. I see Jenny Owens. And I see Marlene Corbett, 1 minute tips. Hey, Sassy. I see people joining in from all over the place. Pennsylvania, California, Louisiana, Minnesota. Thank you all for tuning in today. It makes me so happy that you guys can join and spend this time with me. It's really a lot of fun. I hope you guys really enjoy it. We work really hard to try to make really nice little, an hour with you so that we can enjoy and have a great time. So I hope you guys really love this stuff. Okay, we've got quite a few things. Let me jump right into my holidays because I'm a holiday girl and I've got to let you know what the holidays are that may not be on your calendar, right? Because you may want to craft some stuff for that, right? So we have, it is National Compliment Day, which is a nice one. So give a little compliment to those around you because, you know, we all need a little compliment and it really helps us. So go ahead and do that for your fellow friends out there. It is also National Minnesota Day, and I know we've got some folks out there that's from Minnesota. So Robin, I think that one is for you, especially. It is also National Quilting Month, which is a lot of fun because National Quilting Month, you're going to start to see a lot of things going on out there for quilting. There are going to be quilt shows all over the place. I've got a quilt show that is coming up, matter of fact, this weekend. Not this weekend, but next weekend coming, March 7th and 8th, is the South Florida Quilt Expo, and I'll be attending that, so that'll be a lot of fun. Now, when I say I'm attending, we're attending, because I'm taking you with me, right? So definitely, we're going to have a lot of fun there. I'm going to show you everything that they have. I will bring my little camera and take some videos and some pictures and things, and we're going to have a lot of fun, and we're going to see what they have out there. I've never been to the South Florida Quilt Expo show before, so it's going to be a blast. Then we also have the Sewing and Quilting Expo, March 13th, 14th, and 15th, and that one is in Lakeland, Florida. Now, this one's a pretty big one. I went to the one last year, and I was excited to see in the chat that Marlene says she is going. I can't wait to see you there. We definitely need to meet. I will be there as well on the last day, Saturday, for sure. I'm trying to find the logistics of what I can do in terms of getting there, if I can get there a little bit earlier or not. But definitely Saturday I will be there, and I hope to meet up with you. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and of course I'm going to take you guys with me there too. I'll take lots of pictures and lots of videos. I'm sure they're going to have a ton of things going on. Hey Gail, thanks for joining. Good morning to you too, or good afternoon, depending where you are. Okay, so Crafty with Robin says she didn't even know there was a National Minnesota Day. Yes. Oh, and your hubby is coming too, Marlene. Awesome. Awesome, awesome. We need someone to help hold all the bags and things, right? Definitely. So, yes, awesome. We're going to have a great time. If you guys are going to be in the area and can attend those shows, please let me know, because I'd love to meet up with you. And, you know, we'll just establish a little meeting point somewhere and just have a blast, because I just think they're so much fun. You learn so much. You see all the new trends of what's happening. There's so many new things that you are exposed to. And I am just there to learn, and just, gosh, it's just amazing. I think it's a fantastic time. Yes, Faker McFace sounds awesome. Yes, you know it's going to be amazing. It is. I can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun. And don't worry, because I'm taking you with me. If you can't come along, we will show you everything that I get to see. Okay, I've got some other announcements. Now, we've got some recognition to do, okay, because we've got a lot of people on our Facebook group that have been posting away, and I want to show all their awesome work. So let's start off with Judy Bauer showed us her furry little friend, and this was Annabelle. Now, unfortunately, Annabelle passed away, so she is in doggy heaven, but what a beautiful, beautiful dog. I mean, absolutely amazing. Just had to, you know, put it out there. We feel for you, Judy, and it's amazing. She looked like an amazing pet, and I just really love dogs. I think they're really sweet. We also had Robin's quilt basket. Now, Robin made an Americana girl dress, and she used a Simply pattern, and she was able to post that, and I think that's so cute. They've got so many beautiful doll patterns that are out there for all your grandkids. You know, you got to make the pretty little dresses for the dollies. And, you know, this really helps because it gets them into wanting to sew and kind of piques their interest. So it's a great way to kind of inspire them and get them going into the craft world. So awesome. Hey, Roxanne, how are you? Thanks for joining. Okay, then we also have Donna Phillips. So Donna finished her project and she made it out of a pillowcase, and she got some hand embroidery work that's on there. And she also used the chenille it for the first time. So awesome job. Way to go to try new things. great, great, great. Love it. So those were the people that I saw on Facebook that posted some of your projects. If you guys have any projects that you're working on, or if you're stuck on anything and want to post something, go ahead and put it on our Facebook group, and you know, we'll talk about it. We love it. Even if you just want to put your furry friends, we love those too. Okay, one more thing that I would like to do is, yes, Donna says Robin's doll dress is awesome. And yes, Donna did a Raggedy Ann and Andy doll. Gosh, I think that was about a year ago or so, right, Donna? And that was absolutely amazing. So, Donna, you may want to repost that picture again. People may want to see that. We've got some more people that are in Facebook, and those were really awesome. So, yes, everyone's so talented, Annette. You're so right. We love it. And we got to show our work, right? Okay, so one thing I also wanted to announce, Robin's Quilt Basket. I wanted to give a very big thank you to you. I added you to my Buy Me Coffee board. Thank you so much. So we've got another person that brought me some coffee to kind of, you know, help my habit here and allow me to be able to attend these quilt shows and buy new material to show you guys and learn new techniques so that I can bring that information over to you. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I really appreciate you helping support the channel. It's really great because it really helps me out, and it allows me to be able to explore some more and bring some more content over to you. So thank you again. Okay, let's see. Last week, let's go into what we have last week. Oh, actually, before I do that, one more thing. We're going to be playing the word scramble game today. We were going to try to do a new game, and it was working just fine, and then something happened. There was some kind of update or something, and now it's not working again. So we're going to stick to the word scramble game. So maybe next week we'll have a new game for you. But for those who've never played the word scramble game, in order to be a participant, you will need to type in hashtag GiftsHQ, all lowercase, all together, put it in the chat. That will allow us to pick you as a participant. We'll be picking one participant to win a prize. And what you need to do in order to win is we are going to show three scrambled letters, and you would need to unscramble them. And then when we pick the participant, they'll have 1 minute to list all three words in the chat. So it's a lot of fun. We try to make it super easy, and it's all around the content and things that we're talking about. So you should be able to get them pretty quickly. They're not big complicated things. So if you're interested in playing, go ahead and do hashtag GiftsHQ. Yes, that's correct. 1 minute tips, exactly like that. Donna, I see yours. Marlene, thank you. Okay, so definitely go ahead and put it in. Go ahead. Oh, Faker McFake, no problem if you don't have Facebook, but thank you for sharing. No problem. I don't mind. And I figured that some people, you know, some are not savvy and wanting Facebook, some don't want Facebook. So I think it's good to kind of show some of the content sometime. So, hey, Yvonne, how are you? Thank you for joining. So yeah, I think it's nice to have a little mix, and I like to kind of show off the projects that everybody's making, because you guys make amazing things, and I really love to see, and we love to learn off of each other, right? There's no one way of doing anything. You can do the same thing a million different ways, and sometimes one way of doing it is better for me, but you have another way of doing that's better for you. So why not share that info, right? I think that's really amazing. Okay. Yes. Hashtag GiftsHQ. Thank you. Go ahead and put that in. Yeah. Roxanne, retype that in, but do it all lowercase. GiftsHQ, all lowercase. Awesome. Okay. Thanks for helping, Donna. You guys are helping each other out. I love it. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So what do we have going on? Let's just recap last week. Let's see, we have one, hold on one second. There was one more thing I think I wanted to mention. Okay, no, we're good. Okay, before we get into it, since we have a couple of new people on here, let's do word number 1. I'm going to show you what that is. Here's the first scrambled word that we have for you to have to put together. So write down those letters and you'll have to unscramble the first word. That is the first word. This is what it's going to look like. You'll have 2 more words, so we'll have a total of 3 words that you will have to unscramble. So there's your first word for you guys. So go ahead and start jotting it down, and don't forget to do hashtag GiftsHQ. Okay, so I'm sorry, last week. Let's get on to last week because we've had a few things that we did. So last week we were talking about the Ocean Frolic quilt, and we were making this quilt, and we were doing the Prairie points. So we were talking about the Prairie points and the best way to pin them, to make them. And so we went ahead and made that whole background, and I do have it. I didn't display it on here, but I want to kind of continue now to the next part. So you're going to see on here, we have the applique pieces that we have to cut out. And so I said we'll be cutting out the applique pieces with my ScanNCut. And so that's what we're going to start to do today. And I'm going to start with the little fishies. Now, why am I using my ScanNCut? So the pattern itself is asking you to cut out all those applique pieces kind of the old-fashioned way. Well, the old-fashioned way would be for you to take that pattern that they gave you, and it's a little paper pattern that they drew out, and you have to trace the actual item, and then you have to kind of get some heat and bond and your fabric, you know, and then you have to kind of cut it out manually, and then after you've cut it out, you've got to do it, you know, for all of the pieces. Now, just in one particular item, so this has like a lot of different animals. So we've got crabs, we've got fishes, turtles, jellyfish, all kinds of stuff, right? So on here, there are a total of 11 different fishes that you have to cut out. Then you have to cut out the crabs, the turtles, you know, and all the other little animals that are on here. Well, that's going to take a really long time, and it's kind of hard, and it hurts your hands sometimes, you know, depending if you've got issues with your hands and holding the scissors and things like that. That can take a while. I don't have that kind of time. So I'm going to kind of use this ScanNCut to do the cutting for me. And it's going to be a lot more accurate because it's a cutting machine, and it's going to cut it exactly to how it is drawn, right? It's going to be a lot quicker because I have to do, like today, we're going to do work on the fish, and I've got to do 11 fish. You know how long it would take for me to cut out 11 fishies out of the applique and draw them and cut them, and you know, so that's a lot of work, and I think that the doing it with the ScanNCut is going to be a lot simpler. Then you have all these intricate type cuts like on the seahorse and things like that, and that can be a little bit tricky to get your scissors in there and to cut those pieces out. And so I think the ScanNCut is the perfect machine for doing applique type work. So we're going to go ahead and use that, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to go ahead and cut those pieces out. And then once we have it cut out, we'll be able to start applying it to the quilt. Now, what I'm going to be doing is once I've cut these pieces out, I'm going to send this over to Brilliance, which is the software I use for doing embroidery. And I am going to have the embroidery machine embroider the applique pieces onto the quilt, so it will get the precision exactly the way I want it. So I plan on doing the blanket stitch around each of these items, and I'm going to send it over to my machine. Now, it becomes a little tricky because I don't have big fancy machines. I have the SC1900, and the biggest hoop size on that is 5x7. So for all of you people who have these flatbed embroidery machines and they don't have these big hoops, you can still do it too. So I'm going to show you today, we're going to start with the fish. I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. So let's get started because we've got a lot of work to do here. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to grab the pattern. So, and think about this, you can do this with not just any type of pattern. If you have something that maybe your granddaughter hand drew, you can scan what she drew on paper and put it in your ScanNCut and then have it cut it out. You can do the outline, you can do all kinds of different cuts. So just kind of think out of the box as I'm explaining this. Think about how you would be able to use it, because there's just so many things that you can make with this machine. It's absolutely amazing. So this particular pattern has 2 drawn pieces here. We're going to be working on just this bottom piece. We're going to work on just the fish. And so I'm taking this one piece at a time. So we're just doing the fish, but we're going to just scan this. And we're going to be scanning it on my mat. Now, the Brother ScanNCut has 2 different mats. There's a mat that is 12 by 12, and then there is a mat that is 12 by 24. And I'll show you this. Let me just grab these 2 here. So this is about, whoops, here we go. Grab it this way. This is the size of a 12 by 12, and this is the fabric mat, but it's the same size as the scanning mat, 12 by 12. And this, as huge as it is a huge scanning mat. Can you see how big this thing is? I mean, you can scan a ton of things with this. And the nice thing about this is that Brother does have at the bottom of the mat, if you think about this, you're like, wow, do I really want to scan this humongous thing on here? Well, at the bottom of the mat, what it does allow you to do is, let's say you have something that's a little bit bigger than the 12 by 12 inch, which is what I have today. And yet this mat, it's not 24. Like, it's just this mat is way bigger than what I need. There's different settings here on the bottom that allow you to basically tell the ScanNCut, say, I'm going to use this 12 by 24 inch mat, but I don't need you to scan the entire 24 inches. I only need you to scan up to a certain point. And there's different options on here. Now, I'm going to be using option J, which is actually 11 by 17 by 16 and a half. So what's basically going to happen is when I scan this, it's going to scan it, but it's only going to scan it up to the letter J, which is the portion that I've told it to scan. So it's going to feed into the machine, and then it's going to stop here, and it's not going to bother scanning the rest of it. So it won't be pulling the entire thing. I can do the entire thing, but I don't need it to scan that whole big thing. I just need it to scan up to here. So that's what I'm going to tell it to do, and I'm going to go ahead and do that. So here, let me grab my pattern. And I am going to open this up. And I'm going to put my pattern inside here. There we go. Nice and flat and ready to go. So now let's come over to my ScanNCut. And I have this huge mat here, so let me just make some space here. Okay. Probably going to need to move this over a little bit. Here we go. Alrighty, and let's just turn on our ScanNCut and open it up. And it's a huge mat. It is just so big. It's ridiculously big. But, I mean, there's probably not a project that I won't be able to scan with this thing. And you can probably scan multiple things all at once if you wanted to do that, right? Oh, Jenny, you're going to be listening while clearing out your storage room? Yes, you said rooms. Oh boy, bulk items picked up this week. Well, you've got some work to do. You can definitely get some exercise with that too. Awesome. Okay, wakey wakey. Go ahead and hit OK. All right. Now, what I'm going to be hitting on here, we're going to be pressing scan. And what I want to do is I want to use the option that says transfer to canvas. Now, here's your setting. So you got like a little wrench here. This is where you would pick the mat that you're using. I have already selected 12 by 24, which is the mat that we have. And I've already selected this one right here. Okay. Then we go back. Okay again. Okay. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take your mat and you have the little arrow here. That's what you're going to feed into the mat. So grabbing this huge thing, and I'm going to try to feed this in this way. Hopefully I got that in right. I'm going to hit the little mat button. And it's going to go ahead and grab it. Now it slowly feeds it in, and then it says it's okay, so you can go ahead and hit start. And now it's going to go ahead and scan this in there. And you're going to see, here we go. We've got the whole thing. And we go back right out. So now it's just scanning everything that you have in that mat. You just grab this. This thing is so big. Kind of limited on space here. There we go. And it is transferring the image over now. Almost done. You can see the progress on it on the screen here. And then it says it has finished. So you just hit OK. And then I'm going to go ahead and unload this mat. And so, yeah, the mat is really big. But if you only are able to get one mat, I would probably suggest getting this large mat. Only because the 12 by 12 inch mat is, while it's great, you've got patterns that come in these 11 by 17 inch sizes, and sometimes then you'll have to kind of cut and put it in pieces, and so it's probably better to just put it in one. Oh, Donna says, Nancy, I still pray for you to get a larger space for your crafts. I am a person who needs elbow room. Yes, I feel something like I'm in this tiny little corner, but I'm trying, guys. It's okay. I hope to get a bigger space for my craft as well. Yeah, it would really help. But, you know, who knows? You never know what happens in life, right? So, okay, so we have scanned this in. And guys, if you're interested in making this quilt, I purchased this quilt pattern from the Cotton Patch Quilt Shop. They have an online presence, and it is called Ocean Frolic, and it is by Marsha Layton. Just one more time, in case you guys are interested in making this quilt. It is kind of a Florida type theme because it has all the little fishies and stuff. It's a super cute quilt, and I just fell in love with it and had to make it. So now that we've scanned it in and we've got that all taken care of, I'm going to go ahead and back out of here. We're going to now come over to our canvas workspace. So I'm going to move this up. Actually, let me leave the space because I'm going to need some space. And I'm going to be sharing my screen here. You just move these out. Cables everywhere. Okay. All right. And this is the screen now. And so you're going to go over to My Projects. And I'll just refresh. And so here it is. And so it's kind of ugly looking, right? But there it is. Once you click off of it, you see both the crab as well as the little fishy. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of cleanup, because like I said, I am only going to be doing the fish today. So let's go ahead and clean some of that up. So I'm just going to click on the little corner here, and I'm going to just drag it over the crab, and I'm going to hit delete, because I'm not going to make that particular applique today. Today we're going to focus just on the fish, because remember, I've got to make 11 of these fishies. So let's go ahead and focus on that, and I'm going to show you how right now you're looking at it and it looks like you just have a fish, but you have all these other little things, because she's got these little dotted lines going around the fish, because that is intended for you to use the yo-yo. And so in the pattern, she does use yo-yos, and she puts the yo-yos on top of the little fishies. And let's see if I can give you a close-up where you can see the little yo-yos on top of some of these animals here. And so it just adds a little bit more dimension to the actual quilt, which is pretty cool, but we don't need them for cutting out the fish. But when you first look at it, you think, well, how am I going to get rid of these lines? Because you don't want to cut little lines on the fish. But when you click on the fish, you're going to see there's multiple layers that are underneath. Although we see just one image, there are multiple layers behind this. So when you click on it and you move it, you're going to see the outline of the fish itself. That's really all we need to cut that piece out. The only other piece we're going to need is the little eye, right? And so we can get that. But I'm going to show you what multiple pieces they have. So when you click on different areas, you'll see there's different pieces that are going to separate off of it. So all of this stuff, I'm going to kind of just move it over here. This is all stuff we're not going to be using. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the eye. Yep. Control Z. If you ever do a little boo-boo, just do Control Z. All I want to do is move the little eye. Whoop. Let's see if I can move pieces out here. See, so that's not the eye. That's only one piece of it. Control Z again. There we go. Sometimes a little tricky to click on it. There we go. That's the little eye piece that we want. So really, we just need this and this. Everything else we don't need. So I'm going to put everything back on here. And I'm going to move this piece off the mat. And then I'm going to take the little eyeball and I'm going to move that off the mat as well. Everything that is on this mat, we do not need. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the top corner of the mat, and I'm going to just cover the whole thing, select everything, and then I'm going to hit delete. That got rid of all that garbage in there. And I'm really just focusing on these two images. So I'm going to bring my little fishy back to the mat, and I'm going to bring the little eyeball, and we're going to put the little eyeball back. And there we go. Now, the next thing you want to do is you want to have, right now it's showing us two different images. You've got the little circle that represents the eyeball, and then you have the outline of the fish. We want to make this all one piece. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to highlight the whole thing. I'm going to go to Edit, and I'm going to group it. Now, when I move this image, it's all together one piece. Okay, so now you've got one here, but like I said, I need to do 11 of them. But for time's sake, I'm only going to make 2 of them, just because, you know, if not, we'll be here for a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to go back to Edit, and I want you to do Copy. And I'm going to click on the mat here, and another way of doing it is you can right click and you can just do paste. And so now I have 2. So I can continue to paste, 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 and do all 11 of them. I can do a whole bunch of them. I'm only going to do 2 of them right now. And then that's going to be ready for me to go. So we're just going to cut 2. And they are exactly the same. And so I can do all different colors because I'm going to have different fabrics. So that's going to be really nice. Now, the second part to this, once you have your fish, once you have grouped it and it's all one image, is now you have to decide if you need to mirror it. And this is where things can get a little bit confusing. And it all depends, well, how are you going to place your fabric on the mat? Some people like to do the fabric, we are going to fuse it with heat and bond. And so some people will do heat and bond down and some people will do heat and bond up, depending on what you're doing. There's no wrong way of doing it. You can do it either way, but you need to know which way you're doing it so that you can know whether or not you need to mirror something. Now, you can mirror it here in the Canvas workspace, or you can mirror it when you get to your ScanNCut. But you do have to remember that if you need to mirror it, you need to do that step. Otherwise, your item's going to be flipped. Now, for the fish, I guess just the way the fish is really doesn't matter too much. But if you wanted to kind of take your cut, and I'll show you one that's already cut, and I'll show you exactly what happens. So, this is one little fishy here. Okay. And this fish was one that I cut, but I forgot to mirror it. So I'm going to show you when I go back to the pattern here. This cut should be exactly the same as this fish because we cut it out of this image. Well, when I put it on top, I realized, hey, why isn't my fish lining up? I should not see any of these lines because it should have been cut exactly the right way. Well, the reason why it wasn't lining up is because I had forgotten to mirror it. And so now if I flip it the other way, where now my heat and bond is facing up, and I put it on here, it's exactly the same size as the picture. All right, so this is an exact cut, and you can't get any more accurate than that, right? If you're cutting it by hand, you're not going to get this kind of accuracy. So this is really, really cool. So Jackie says, Nancy, you can just tell the ScanNCut how many you want to cut. No need to do. Yes. And that's exactly. Thank you, Jackie. That's another way of doing it. Like I said, there's multiple ways of doing things. There's no wrong way, right? You can do it in Canvas. You can duplicate it with copy and paste. You can do it in the ScanNCut. And you can just tell it, I want so many copies of it. Like, there's so many different ways of doing it. So don't, this is just the way I happen to do it. And I may do it a different way tomorrow because I know there's different ways that you can do it. This is just one of those ways. So definitely, thank you, Jackie, for saying that, because I don't want you guys to think that this is the only way to do it. There's multiple ways. Like, just on getting to options in Canvas, you can right click on your mouse and you'll have a menu of options of things to choose from to do things, or you can go up on the top and click on the little icons. There's so many different ways. There's no one way, and there's no right or wrong way. It's just however it's best for you. If it's easier for you to remember to right click on something, if it's easier for you to do it in the ScanNCut rather than Canvas, you do you. You do the easiest way that you can find. So definitely think about multiple ways that you can do this. Yes. Donna says, wow, we use grouping in Brilliance. I guess graphic platforms are similar. Yes. So grouping is a very popular option across multiple softwares, because when you are dealing with different images like that, grouping is a huge, you have it in Cricut, right? If you have Cricut Design Space, if you guys know, Cricut just launched their Cricut 4 maker, right? And Cricut Explorer 4. So if you guys haven't heard about that, they've got some new machines that just came out and are a little bit faster. But things like that, like if you have a Cricut, you use Cricut Design Space, you have things like grouping, you know, you have things to flip things around, mirroring. Some people call it flip, some people call it mirroring. You know, different softwares may call it something a little bit different, but it's pretty much the same thing. So definitely, you know, each software has their own little way of doing things, but at the end of the day, it kind of is pretty similar. Okay, I think that second word is coming around, so you guys can see that coming up on the screen. There's your second word, so go ahead and write down all those scrambled letters, because you definitely want to unscramble them at the end. Okay, so yeah, so mirroring, very important, depending, you know, how you want to do it. Now, for the purposes of this quilt, is this a really big deal? Not really. The fish could go this way, the fish could go that way, right? But because I'm going to be using embrilliance to stitch down my pieces onto the quilt with a blanket stitch, I definitely want to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to mirror it here in Canvas Workspace. I'm going to show you how to do it on the ScanNCut so you can see that. So let's move this over. Okay, so we've got our fish here, and let's go back to the laptop. And so here we've got our fish here, and so we pretty much are done. Like, this is it. That's how quick this was, right? We've got our 2 images. We're only going to do 2 of them for right now. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to click my big download button that's here. And once you click that, it's going to ask you, well, select the file transfer method. You can download this to your PC, and it's going to download it as a .fcm file. And that is a specific file type that is proprietary to the Brother ScanNCut, and it's basically a file extension that will allow you to then be able to, you know, send things to your ScanNCut and send them to cutting machines, and allow you to transfer basically images like SVGs and JPEGs and, you know, all of those nice little drawings that your grandkids do. You know, you can scan them and make them into these graphic files. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and send this to our ScanNCut. So we're going to choose the ScanNCut transfer. And then once you have clicked on this, you can see that it's going to say ScanNCut transfer is ready. And then you can go ahead and close. Okay. So that's going to send it over to your ScanNCut. And we're going to go back now over to the ScanNCut, and let me just move this over a little bit here. Okay, let's see if I can move these wires. There we go. Alrighty, so we're back at the ScanNCut, and so now you go to the ScanNCut and you're going to select the button Retrieve Data, and you're going to have 4 different options that you can choose from, right? We're going to use the second one here that has the little cloud and it looks like a little pocket. So we're going to go ahead and select that. It's going to say that it's receiving. And there's our little image right here with the 2 little fishies on there. Okay. So that, and let me see if I can get you in a little closer to see that. Can you guys see that? Little better. Just a tad. I'll have to get a little mini camera. Well, maybe we need a mini cam for the ScanNCut. Just put a little mini cam here, right? Just like we did the SoCam. I might do a mini cam for ScanNCut here. We've got to give her ScanNCut a little name. Okay, so I'm going to move this a little closer so I can see what I'm doing and I can tell you, kind of walk you through it. So we've got the 2 little fishies here. Now you've got a couple of options. I'm going to go ahead and hit edit. And then what I want to do on here is you've got the 2 fishies here, and I'm going to select, it's already highlighting the first fishy on the top, right? So I touch the first fishy and the little red box is around the first fish. And I'm going to hit Object Edit. And then you're going to want to hit, it's on the second row and it's right in the middle. It's a little icon that looks like two little arrows facing each other. That one is called the mirror. That is in order for you to flip it. And sometimes that's why it's a little difficult if you're not familiar with what the ScanNCut icons are, you know, because they just have the picture. It doesn't really have a word to say what it is. So some people prefer to do it in Canvas because they can see that it says flip, so you know what you're actually doing. When you're in the ScanNCut, you just have the icon here, so it's a little bit more difficult if you're not too familiar with what their icons look like. I'm pretty familiar with them, so I'm going to go ahead and select that second one because that is a flip. And so you'll notice my little fishy just turned around, and so it mirrored it. And I want to do the same thing with the second one, so I'm going to highlight that one, and I'm going to do the same thing, flip it. And so now both of my fishies are facing the other way, and I'm going to hit OK. And now I am back to my fishies right here, and I'm done with my editing. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And now I'm back to kind of this main screen. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to kind of move this over. Let me set this over a little bit to the side, because we're going to have to grab our little iron and we're going to have to put some heat and bond onto the fabric. And so let me just undo my little mini iron, and I'm going to go ahead and plug this in. And I'm just using my little mini iron today just because it helps on the space. Ah, Faker says Sally the Scanner. Well, Sally the Scanner, I like that. Maybe that's what her name should be. What do you guys think? Should we call her Sally? I have a cousin named Sally. Sally the Scanner, maybe that's going to be it. Okay, so I took a couple of pieces of fabric. I've got the yellow fabric here, but I also have this red one. Let's take a look at the red one. And I've got a piece of heat and bond that I went ahead and cut as well, trying to save some time. And so as soon as this little iron heats up, I'm going to take my heat and bond with the glue side up, and I'm going to put my fabric on top of it. Before I do that, I kind of want to give it a quick little press because it was folded and it's got a lot of creases on here. So it's it's pretty hot. So let's kind of iron this really quick, because you don't want to leave those creases on there, because then when you put it onto your heat and bond, you know, you're going to have those creases on your project, and I don't want to have my fish kind of with creases on it. So let's just iron that out so it's nice and flat now. Then I'm going to take my heat and bond and place this down, glue side up, with my fabric on top. Now, you just want to try to make sure that your fabric is covering the heat and bond, because you don't want to get heat and bond on your iron. And then you're going to take your hot iron and you're just going to put it on top. I like to start somewhere in the middle and just work your way out. You know, and at first you want to just kind of set it for a few seconds, let the glue dots activate so that they can adhere to the fabric. And I'm kind of just picking up my iron and putting it down. I'm not kind of ironing back and forth. You know, I want to be able to make sure that this is going to adhere. And I want to make sure that my fabric doesn't slip around. So it's pretty much adhered now, at least on this side. So I'm going to move it over here and kind of work my way. I see a little bit of heat and bond here on the top, so I'm not going to go all the way, but this is the selvage, so it really doesn't matter. And once I'm satisfied that it's pretty much adhered to it, then you can kind of take it and iron across. And you're okay because you're not going to have any of those bubbles that are going to come up. Just make sure that your iron is nice and hot when you're doing this. Because, again, you want to activate the glue dots so that they stick. Now, if you wanted to, you can also turn it around and iron on the paper side. Some people do that as well. Just to make sure that it's gone in there. There we are. Okay. So I think this is nice and secure. My only concern is this piece down here. Because I've got that piece of heat and bond sticking out, I don't want to iron on top of that. So I'm just going to kind of go through the edges. There we go. Now, some people will now just take this and put this on their mat just like this. And you certainly can. I would not put this paper side down onto your mat. You will have a hot mess and you're going to have a hell of a time getting that paper off the mat. Ask me how I know. So if you're going to leave the paper on, you're going to want to do fabric side down. Okay, if you do fabric side down, you're going to want to make sure that you mirrored it. If you're doing fabric side up, then you don't have to mirror it. So it's kind of remember it that way, right? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the paper off because I'm going to cut it without this paper. The heat and bond will still be on here and you're going to kind of see here. Just get this off. You'll see that you'll have a nice shiny side to your fabric, right? So this represents all the glue dots. So now it's nice and shiny on this side. That represents the glue here. And then here is your fabric. So let's disconnect this. We don't need the iron anymore. I'm going to move this over to the side so I don't burn myself. And we'll let that cool down. Now, and scoot this over here as well. Okay, so I've got my fabric here. Now I'm going to be using my fabric mat. Okay, so it does have a protective plastic over it. Just go ahead and take that off. So Janice says, why not leave the paper on until after the cut? You could, Janice. You could if you wanted to. Like I said, there's multiple ways of doing stuff here. You can leave it on and cut it with that, or you can leave it off. I just tend to leave it off. Just easier for me. But you can certainly leave it on if you wanted to. Now, what I have seen, and really it depends on the cut that you make. If you have a really intricate cut that you're doing, that paper sometimes will start to flake off as the blade is going through it and making the cuts. And so then I've seen that the paper kind of gets all jumbled up inside there because it's coming off. Because it's really, it doesn't take much to take off that paper, right? So when the blade kind of goes through it and makes the cut, the paper may kind of just come off just a little bit. And then as the material is being moved around within the ScanNCut, that paper may come off anyway. And sometimes it kind of jumbles up in there and kind of becomes a big mess. So if you have a really intricate cut, I wouldn't recommend keeping the paper in there just because it may come off anyway, and then it just may get jammed into the machine. And that's why I just prefer to just do it this way. But you certainly can if you wanted to. If it's not an intricate cut, you could leave it. Like for these fishies, I could probably leave it. But I would probably notice that we have the little fish, and then we have the little eyeball. I bet if I leave the paper on there and it makes the little eyeball, that little circle, once it's done with that circle, that little white piece of paper may pop right off. and then I'll have to kind of get it out if it doesn't come out with the mat, right? So that's why I do it. I prefer to just not deal with that situation at all and just go ahead and cut it this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm using my fabric mat. You can see it's still sticky, little dirty, but that's okay. We've got lots of projects that we're cutting. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this on the mat. Here we go. If you have a brayer, go ahead and use the brayer. You want to make sure that it's nice and sticky on the mat. And I'm just going to make sure that it stays down. If you have to use some tape to tape it down, go ahead and use that too. You just want to make sure that it stays. Mine are relatively sticky, so I think I'm good. Just gonna leave it like this. And I'm just making sure I have no air bubbles. Nice and flat in here. Okay. Now, I think that the ScanNCut is awesome. I love my Cricut as well, but the number one reason when you have a ScanNCut, not only because you can scan paper patterns and things like that, is this button right here, I think is the best button in the world. And that allows you to scan your mat so that you can see exactly where your fabric is, and you can move your image that you're cutting to make sure that it has enough space and it's being cut onto the fabric. So I'm going to show you what I mean. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this in place, of course, with a little arrow showing towards the machine. So that's this little arrow right there. Okay. You want to make sure that that's going towards the machine. And I've got this little button here. And this is, let me get you a little closer there so you can see it. So we've got this little button right here, and that is the scanning button. So I'm going to go ahead and press that. And then I want to head and load my mat. And there we go. It's going to start to scan what I have on the mat. And I love this feature because this, when I hit start, it's basically taking a picture of what I have in my mat. So let's say if I had multiple appliques that I'm doing, and I'm not sure if I have enough fabric to fit it in there, I can scan it. And so when it takes that picture, I can move the object to make sure that it's on the mat and I have enough to cover it for the cut. And so on here, you see how it has that really dark red. This is the actual picture of the fabric itself. And so now I know, just by looking at this, I'm like, yeah, I have enough space, definitely have enough space for what I am cutting. And so I'm ready to go ahead and cut. So I'm going to say, okay. It's going to, it says, please select. It's basically saying, hey, well, what do you want me to do with this? I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and I'm going to click cut because I want it to cut it. And so I'm going to go ahead and hit start. And I am using the rotary blade. That's the blade that I have in the machine. You don't have to use the rotary blade. I like to use the rotary blade because it gives it a accurate cut, and it actually finds the best position to cut your fabric than the other blades would. Like if you use the other blades, it would absolutely cut the fabric, no problem as well. But sometimes using the rotary blade, when you have those intricate pieces, it'll find the best way to cut it to make sure that it goes through exactly. And I think now we're coming up on our third scrambled word, guys. So let's list that. Here is word scramble number 3. Guys, go ahead and jot down those letters. You've got some unscrambling to do there. And you're going to see here, these words are pretty close to what we're talking about and what we're doing. So if you've been paying attention, you may already know what these 3 words are. Okay, so it's going through and it's cutting it. And like I said, the rotary blade finds the best way to cut. Now, some people are not too much of a fan because they say, oh, well, the rotary blade takes a little bit longer. And it does. But the reason why it's taking longer is because the rotary blade is actually built to kind of think about the cut before it actually cuts it. It's finding the best, most accurate way to cut your material before it does it. So that's why it takes a little bit longer for it to get started. But really, it's not going to take that much longer. So if you just have a little bit of patience, you'll have a better cut if you use the rotary blade. I really love it for the fabrics. I think it's great, especially for the intricate cuts. It really does a fantastic job. But you have the other blades as well. And that's it. You see, it was that quick. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. I'm going to unload my mat because I know this is going to come out absolutely perfect. I'm going to scoot this over a little bit so we have a little bit more space here. And here we are. Now, one of the things that comes with your ScanNCut is the little spatula. And it's a small little spatula, really cute looking. It's a great thing to use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and lift the excess fabric. This is what I know I do not need. And look at that, guys. How cute is that? And then what I do is I use the spatula because I think it's super important. At this point, you don't want to stretch your fabrics. You don't want to warp it because what I'm going to be doing is now using this with my embroidery machine. And so the file that I have saved in Canvas is now going to be sent to Embrilliance. And so when I do that, I'm going to be kind of using the same shape that it cut in. So I don't want to warp it because I don't want the shape to get distorted. So I'm going to go ahead and use the little spatula and just kind of lift it up that way. And then I won't pull it or anything. I want to keep it nice and simple. And so there we go. Look at that. What a cute little fishy. And look at the fabric that I picked. I wanted it to be a little different. Have a little character, right? Super cute. And then I'm going to go ahead and pick out the other one. And you see how it cut the eye? Perfect, right? Look at that. The accuracy that you get with the ScanNCut is amazing. I'm going to go ahead and pull these two little eyes out because I could probably use it for something. And I'm going to move this fabric mat over to the side. And I want to kind of come back to the pattern because I want to show you guys how accurate this thing is. So here we are. Look at that. Yep. There we go. Look how accurate that outline is. Amazing. Now, the eyeball, if I wanted to, I could have the eye exactly where it is. But for this particular project, I really don't need to have the eye exactly to that spot. And I kind of wanted to give it a little more character, so I wanted to move it around. But you can see here the outline. Perfect. Exactly how you want it. And so now bringing it over to Embrilliance, I'm going to tell Embrilliance to go ahead. I'm using Stitch Artist 2 and I have an Embrilliance, and I'm going to have this file sent to the Embrilliance. I'm going to make it an applique file, and I'm going to tell it to do a blanket stitch all the way around. And so I'm going to have that done so that this quilt will really have a beautiful blanket stitch on it. And so now I'll have all my little fishies on here. Super, super cute. I think, you know, the accuracy that you get for some of these is really amazing. And I think it's really great to kind of bring your quilt to life when you have difficulty cutting out these pieces, because there's no way I would have been able to cut these pieces this accurate, right? So I think it's going to come out really nice, and we'll continue to cut the rest of these. So I have 11 fishies. I've already gotten 2 here. Now these 2, I didn't mirror them, but I think I may just still use them. I'm not quite sure yet. I'll have to see what I do with these, but I'm going to go ahead and start cutting the rest of these, and then cut more of the other animals and get all my applique pieces. And then I'll show you how to kind of take your applique pieces and put it into embrilliance, and then kind of have the embroidery machine stitch it out for you. And for those of you, if you don't watch Power Tools with Thread, her name is Becky Thompson. She does an amazing job. She calls a process called Appliqué that's trademarked by her, and she created kind of the process on how to take these files and bring them to your embroidery machine and stitch them out. And it's amazing. She trademarked the name Appliqué, which I think is amazing. That's really cool. But the process is great for anyone to use. So, you know, it's just an amazing way to do applique with such accuracy. I really love it. Yay, Sassy. The ScanNCut is fantastic addition for accurate cuts. Yes, and you know, the scanning capability that you get with the ScanNCut, it's just really worth it. It's really worth it if you like to do applique quilts. It's just so worth it. You know, it allows you to really do a lot of things. That I love my Cricut machine, but the scanning capability just does it for me for the ScanNCut. I do use my Cricut for other things, though. I do use that. I do love the design space. I love the little software that comes with it. Very easy to follow. But for things like this, I run over to my ScanNCut. So I'm just very blessed to be able to have both machines. So that's just probably why my craft room has gotten smaller on me. So alrighty guys, these are the little fishies that we have. They're ready now for my quilt. Like I said, I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of these, and then I will show you probably, I don't think it's going to be next week or the week after, because we're going to the quilt expos, but when we get back I'll show you how to do that in Embrilliance, and it'll be a lot of fun. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this quick little tutorial, and I hope you guys really like the content that I'm providing. Let's now switch over, because we gotta figure out what we're gonna do with this giveaway. So let's take a look at what it is you guys are playing for. So if we can show what that is, and here you go. You've got a 5-piece bundle. I thought this one was really cute. It's got that really spring-like part to it. It's got these little happy faces, and the fabrics are really cute and bright and just cheerful. So I wanted to try to see if we can give that away. So that is the prize. And so now let's go over to our wheel here. We're going to see if we can select a participant. So here we are. We've got the Wheels of Smiles, and we've got all kinds of folks on here. Now, I think we've got all of our entries in, so no more entries. We're good, because we had a little mishap last week, but I think we got it down packed this time. So we want to make sure that we've got all our names on here, and I think we're ready to spin the wheel. So we've got 14 entries, it looks like. So let's go ahead and spin the wheel and see who we're going to get. Let's see. There we go. Round and round she goes. Let's see who we got. And it looks like it's gonna be Jenny Owens. Jenny Owens, congratulations. Okay, so Jenny, you have 1 minute to type into the chat the 3 scrambled words. You've got to unscramble those words and type it into the chat. You have 1 minute to do so. So please go ahead and type it into the chat. Oh, Jackie Holman says mine's not. Yeah, Jackie, I see your name there. You're there. You're good. Come on, Jenny. You've got 36 seconds. Okay. Pattern, mirror, and scanning. And that is correct. Congratulations, Jenny. Awesome, Jenny. Okay. So, Jenny, send me an email. I think I've had your email before, but send me an email just to make sure your shipping address is the same so I can get that out to you as quick as I can. And that's about it, guys. I think you guys have gotten, you know, the little gist of the little game. Now, hopefully next week we're going to have a different game, or actually when I get back from the expos, we'll have a different game. We were hoping to have that today, but yeah. Oh, Jackie said you typed it in after you said it. Oh, that's okay. No worries. Awesome. And I see everyone saying congrats to Jenny. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay. Alrighty. Awesome. That's great. Well, thank you guys again for tuning in. I really appreciate you supporting the channel and, you know, just being here while I kind of create little things. And I will definitely continue on with this quilt. I want to get as much done as I can because we'll be at the expo next week. So I've got a lot of things going on this week and I need to kind of get myself ready. So thank you again for tuning in. I appreciate all of your support. And don't forget, hit the thumbs up for me. That will really help me out and support the channel. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And don't forget the notification button. Now, thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate, again, all of your support. And I hope you guys have a great weekend. So we've got our little fishies now. We're going to continue to do more of the little fishies. So thanks. Yes, thanks, Crafting with Robin. Have a great weekend, everyone. And I hope to be crafting with you soon. Bye.
Nancy with GiftsHQ makes crafting videos, creating with passion and a love for what she sews. Crochet, quilting, and sewing, crafting is what she knows. Making smiles one craft at a time. Your talent will grow with every stitch and every thread she weaves her on. Her hands create something special straight from the heart. And as the colors come alive, the joy spreads near and far.